Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to 6 Feet Apart. We're continuing with our virtual VSC. It's amazing. Thank you for being here. Just not snowing in Vermont today. It's very exciting. Let's see, we have a couple features today. We have Daniel, who you know as a staff artist here at Vermont Studio Center. Also a visual arts coordinator, all around amazing human. But anyway, Daniel spoke with Annelies Kamen. Annelies is living in Berlin, and Daniel and Annelies had a really fun Zoom chat. You ready?
Hey, Annelies.
Hey,
Hey, how's it
nice
going?
to meet you. So nice to have you here.
So yeah, we're gonna bleach our hair together at a distance. Are you wearing? Oh, you're doing black gloves. I have blue gloves.
All of the gloves that I have that I've been using for coronavirus purposes are from hair bleaching kits.
I'm trying to make this look very professional. How far away is your studio?
It's like a 15, 20-minute walk from my house, so I can still go.
Good.
I should style my hair like this all the time.
It's not bad. So yeah, we're recording. We've been recording.
Yeah. Well, I was meant to have a show in Chicago opening on May 1st, which is now postponed and maybe going to shift into being a publication. And for that show, I've been making like a body of sculpture that's kind of responding to an interest in like slapstick from early silent film, presenting practical special effects in sculpture. So I have right in front of me.
That's kind of like where what you were working on when you were at Vermont Studio Center, right?
Yeah, I think like the thing that spiral staircase sculpture that I made at Vermont Studio Center, that was maybe the first work that I would consider now part of this body of work. And actually just this morning I was working on these little sketches to share with the curator of the show to show what the other works are going to be. Can you see these?
Yeah, so it's like the curtain coming off the tablecloth coming off the table.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that table is built. I made it at the residency that I was at in Maine at Monson.
All right.
And then the tablecloth is just starched, so it is suspended forever like that. And then these are a pair of ceramic boots that have miniature smoke machines inside. So smoke comes out of like a comic book character has just been exploded out of his shoes.
Yeah.
And so like everything, all the works in this series have an element of like a disembodiment. There's a body that was just present, or like in the case of the staircase is almost present, like just kind of dipping into the frame of the sculpture.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the tablecloth one, that in the process of being tricked.
So I think there's like an interesting thing in looking at your work. I mean, especially I was looking at like work on your website, and you use the word punchline. And like punchline is a really, I don't know, easy way to explain what it is that we're looking at. There's a lot more in there.
Yeah, I mean, like the smoking boots sculpture is a reference, like an oblique reference to early 1900s silent film called Mary Jane's Mishap, which is one of the earliest incidences of female acted slapstick in film. And it's a maid who can't find anything to light the fire and uses a jar of paraffin and then blows herself out the chimney. Actually, one book that I started reading while I was at Vermont Studio Center was Spectres of Slapstick in Early Silent Film by Maggie Hennefeld, and she writes about this gender disparity in different tropes of slapstick that run through all of comic film, and the idea that like that female slapstick often involves a discorporality, a disappearing of the female body, either in pieces or completely. So that's like the kind of the instigating point for a lot of these works.
Yeah, because like I'm wondering then who's scripting that, you know? Is this like a new direction you're kind of?
This is a continuation. I mean, I've been like thinking and reading and working on and adjacent to this idea of gendered slapstick performance for like more than a year now, and like it keeps kind of like budding and generating these bodies of work, but I don't feel like the source is used up yet.
Yeah.
So I'm still like thinking that there's a larger project that will come from this, and I imagine that it's kind of like also split into two directions, into one interest that's more related to the history of film itself and the relationship between film editing techniques and female slapstick. So I've been like playing around in my video work more in that direction, because like one of the theses of this Maggie Hennefeld text is that while like male-bodied performed slapstick is embedded in film narrative, female performed slapstick is often embedded in film technology. And so it was like a way for filmmakers to play around with brand new special effects technology by showing, you know, like with like a famous example is a maid working in the kitchen with her many hands, and then her hands become disembodied and are doing the tasks in the kitchen, you know, her 15 hands, like an octopus doing all the tasks. It was the first use of that kind of like dodging and burning and masking to allow for like multiple representations of the same body on one exposed scene.
That's funny because it's also like the piece that you have in the video show here is, I mean, you're taking that from Mad Magazine, right? Like that's kind of inspirations there. And there's something that can happen right on paper much easier than in live action because it's not real bodies, but you're like kind of you're translating that into these like real bodies on screen.
Yeah, that work, that video piece, I think has something to do with the sculptures that I'm making too, in the idea of these like practical special effects. That in Greatest Hits, it's like proscenium fronted. All of the props are cheap, you know, ordered online, made from paper mache. Nothing is really allowing you to suspend your disbelief. It's just obviously like this is a representation of, this is supposed to make you think that it's and then you can kind of like, everything is functioning and signifying up to the appropriate level for you to get the joke, but not beyond. So the trick is really apparent to every viewer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same like for these sculptures, you know, the shoe kind of on the top step of the staircase in what at some angles looks like kind of floating uncannily, but then if you walk around the sculpture in the round, you can see the little hinge that I've used, that it's just has a weight in the toe and it's sitting on a hinge, and the uncanniness of that kind of hanging in air tablecloth, but it will obviously have a materiality of being starch. So kind of like the trick, you get that moment of being taken in by the physical effect, but then it doesn't kind of overwhelm the viewer with a finish that gives it any kind of authority.
Mm-hmm.
So the objects still have this kind of pathetic nature, which I think is really important to maintain that comic relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I'm torn between like two different directions of questions. One being about like the actual removal of the body, and the other being about like the specificity of object and kind of your intuition on creating a new object by hand on your own versus like finding that object in the world.
Usually I think about all of these objects as being functional in the sense that they're comedic, so they're meant to achieve the joke, and like especially for these kind of like practical effects ones, they have to achieve that like moment of like, oh, what?
Yeah.
when the viewer encounters the work, there should be kind of an uncanny moment.
Right.
And think about them as functional makes a lot of that other decision making kind of fall into place, because you can be pragmatic about what is necessary to achieve that function.
Yeah.
And I think like good comedy doesn't overstep that bound of functionality. So it kind of shouldn't go too far beyond what's necessary.
Yeah.
It should just hit the level of necessity to achieve the joke. Anything beyond that is going to take away, it's going to get into that realm of the object having too much authority.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking like the duck season, rabbit season, or as like one approach, finding something that exists in our world and translating it into something that exists in this like cartoon world.
like, for example, for this table piece with the pulling the tablecloth off, that table is one that I built because I enjoy building things.
Right.
And it has like I've done it in the saddle shape so that the table, you could almost imagine that the table is also being kind of jerked away from itself. It has this kind of like teardrop section that looks a bit like a smear, but also it could be mistaken for a found object.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of elements in there where I make the decision to build something because I enjoy that aspect of it, but it's important that the aesthetic of that object that I make then doesn't become distracting for the point of the work. So it's always about that, like, that volume knob of like being good enough to be functioning and not too good to get in the way. Yeah, so in some cases then just like, yeah, like the dude descending a staircase, that's my studio shoe. And that piece was supposed to go into an exhibition in Berlin that would open last week. And I was like gonna have to go and install it and then put one of my shoes on it and then walk home with one shoe on. This is my shoe, and I don't really have that many pairs.
That's great. I mean, like, that's awesome. Sorry, I'm just checking out my blondness. It's getting there.
Yeah, you look pretty blonde. Do I look blonde?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
I think we just need to reference the fact that we're bleaching our hair just in case.
Yeah. It's really important for me to make a fool of myself in video. It's
Yeah.
a necessary part of my work, apparently.
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad you recommended this. Any random objects in your house you want to show me?
Let me see. Oh, well, I'm making this candelabra.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this is what I've been working on in ceramics. It's drying right now. It is pretty. I have lots of good stuff. This is a really nice plant.
Oh, I have one of those in the other room, I think.
A night blooming cereus?
That's two different plants.
This is a night blooming cereus, and this is a ZZ plant. Oh wait, I have one more good thing to show you.
Okay, good.
Beaver stick.
A beaver stick.
Yeah, my brother brought it to America. See its little beaveries?
Yeah. I remember when you were here in Vermont, you wanted to find a beaver stick for your brother.
Yeah. He likes beavers.
When do you have to wash out your hair?
1 minute ago.
Okay. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
As always, a joy.
Well, that was great. Thanks, Annelies. Thanks, Daniel. That was awesome. We also have Sarah Audsley, who's also a staff artist, and she's the writing coordinator. She spoke with the high school poet, Sam Eichen. And just a little clip on that. Sarah?
I'm here with Samantha Aikman, and she is a high schooler at Mount Mansfield High School, and she was the winner of the 2019, National Poetry Poster Contest, which was printed this year, actually, in 2020. And I'm here to talk to her about her winning poster and how it all came to be. And I have the poster right here. And it was hanging on the wall in our office in the Red Mill Gallery, and I just snuck in there and took it down. and it's a fall portrait. So I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about how you submitted your work and your relationship to poetry.
Yeah, so I'm a poet also. I write a lot of poetry for the Young Writers Project. I posted on my blog there, and I had done this contest 1 year before. I had tried to submit work, and this year I thought, well, I didn't win last year, so I can try again. And I don't have any special equipment or anything. I just have a phone, so that's how the photo was taken. I just went out to my driveway. We have like a little tree out front, and I was hanging I call them tree cookies. They're like the round like blocks basically that the words are written on, and I was trying different trees, and that's the one that I ended up choosing. It was fall, so that's why it's all orange and there's berries and stuff.
Yeah, and you're in Richmond, Vermont, which is about a 45-minute drive from Johnson, Vermont, which is where the Vermont Studio Center is located. And you said you've never been here, but I just wanted to let you know that in the future, you do have the opportunity to come to the Vermont Studio Center and attend free public readings by visiting writers and also by our residents who give resident presentations of reading of their work. And the writing program has poets, nonfiction writers, playwrights, memoirists, fiction, short story, novelists, all types of disciplines come here, and they live in residence for 2 to 4 week residencies, and they're from all over the world. And it's a resource for you, and anyone your age can come and attend our free public programming. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little more about the quote that is in the poster. It says, "Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you." Was that a prompt provided by the Academy of American Poets, which puts out this annual call for poster designs, or was that something you chose yourself?
So they put out, the prompt was choose a line from the poem Remember by Joy Harjo. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce her name. And you could pick any line from the whole poem. So I read it a couple times and I decided I liked that one the most. It was like short and sweet and kind of reminded me of fall at the time too. So I thought that was cool. And yeah, that's the one I picked. I don't remember the whole poem, but there was a lot of common themes in the other submissions I saw. There was one about like the world and the sky, and it was a very beautiful poem.
Yeah, Joy Harjo is our current U.S. Poet Laureate, and she just received a second term. And I really love her work, and it's so great that they chose that, one of her poems, to be featured for the National Poetry Month poster.
Yeah.
What are you writing, and what other poets do you enjoy reading?
I've been writing like mostly open verse poetry, but I've also been messing around with like different forms and that sort of thing.
Do you have a favorite form that you like?
I think I just like verse poetry the most. It's like the most free and I can do what I want basically. So, but other poets that I enjoy, well, I really like Joy Harjo. I've looked at a couple of her other poems, and Billy Collins. I like his work as well. I have a couple of his books. Yeah, those are my favorites, I think.
Yeah, so I was a poet, a young poet too, in high school, and when I was in high school, my favorite poet was E. Cummings, and then also one of the poets that I feel like really opened the door for me as someone who is attracted to nature as well, was Mary Oliver, and so
I've read some of her work too.
Yeah, what grade are you in, and how is school going for you?
I'm in 10th grade. Right now during the pandemic, it's definitely tricky. It's not super fun, but I'm part of like a kind of alternative program, and so it's easier because of that I can get work done. I have like direct communication with my teachers, and so that's been nice.
How did you hear about winning the poster contest? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was a semifinalist first, so we got that email. I forget what month, but that was like, wow, like I made semifinalists, that's so exciting. And then we had to wait a little bit for the final judging, and we got another email, and I hadn't read it yet, and I came home from a yoga class, and my mom was like, guess what we just got? And she was kind of like, didn't say it right out at first. I thought I hadn't won. And then she told me that I had, and it was all exciting. And my whole family was there. So
That's so wonderful.
yeah, it was like a big celebration.
Yeah, and it came with a cash prize, right? And as well as art supplies. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the award was $500 gift card to Blick Art Supplies, as well as $500 cash prize. Yeah.
Have you been using any of those art supplies? And you don't have to say how you use the cash prize, but if you'd like to, you can.
I actually haven't gotten the art supplies yet. I think they're still trying to figure it out with Blick, but I'm planning on, I don't really use a whole lot of art supplies, and so I'm planning on donating part of that money to like local art and like schools and stuff like that. I haven't really figured out where exactly yet, but and the $500 cash prize I've put in my bank account for college.
That's very wise of you. Is there anything else you would like to say about this? You know, there was an article that was in the Burlington Free Press. That's how I found out about it. And I was really excited that a local Vermonter won this poetry contest, because it's a national contest that happens every year. And these posters get sent all over the country, and they're free, which is a really great program put on by the Academy of American Poets. And I don't know about you, but I get a daily poem into my email inbox because I sign up for a poem a day through them. And I really love that program. And the poetry poster program for National Poetry Month is also something I appreciate every year.
Yeah, I also get the poem a day in my inbox. I really like that too. It was mostly just like a really big surprise. Like, I didn't think that I was going to win, and when I did, it was really surprising to learn like the statistics about how many got sent out and like how many viewers there were and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was so happy to see that it was someone from Vermont. It made me really happy. So
Yeah.
it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, I would love to come visit.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sam. It was lovely to meet you, and congratulations again on winning the National Poetry Month poster contest.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good to talk to you.
You know our mascot. He's missing a lot of people. Yeah, super excited to be thinking at some point about slowly reopening, looking at the galleries, putting together some shows that will also create some really fun programming coming up in the fall and in the spring. We're just looking forward to seeing you again, looking forward to being open again, really looking forward. So thanks again, have a great week.